It's the A to Z podcast. I'm Anthony Zanni. I'm here with Chelsea Raineri. How are you doing, Chelsea?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. You are a former D1 gymnast at George Washington, and you are now the current coach there. Tell me how you got your start
Yeah.
and how you got to George Washington.
So I did gymnastics my whole life. I did a bunch of sports, but gymnastics was where I definitely gravitated towards. When you play soccer, they don't like when you do cartwheels on the field. So my parents were like, we're not doing this. We're just going to do gymnastics. And I had the most amazing coaches who really believed in me and really pushed me to be more than I ever think that I could have imagined. And I was very fortunate to get a full athletic scholarship to GW. I was originally committed to a different university and then uncommitted my senior year and thought it's just not going to happen.
Which school?
Um, Iowa State. So I was originally going to go to Iowa State and then I wasn't going to get a full scholarship, and I have five other siblings. College is expensive, and so for myself and my family, it was, hey, if you want to go to college, like you need to get a scholarship. Like that's the only option. And so when I uncommitted, I was like, I could just do another year and try to get in the next cycle. But I met Margie, who is the current head coach of George Washington University, and they invited me to go to campus to see if I liked the school. And I immediately fell in love. And at the end of my visit, Margie, I met her for the first time in person. We were talking. She's like, yeah, so I'm gonna offer you a full athletic scholarship. And I just lost it. It was like a dream come true because, they always are like, you're not going to make it, only the top 1%. And I said, well, I'm going to be that 1%. And my parents were always like, are you laughing? Are you dancing? Are you having a good time? That's what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. And so I was like, I'm not going to quit on this. I'm going to get in. And I was really lucky to get in and be at GW for my whole 4 years of D1 college athletics. It was amazing.
Yeah, and you were pretty amazing at what you did.
I was pretty good.
Titles and
Um,
NCAA vault champions and doing a lot of stuff
yeah.
that a lot of firsts for George
A
Washington.
lot of firsts. Yes, we had our first conference championship win was in 2015 ever in the program history, and then we won again my senior year. We should have won my junior year. That may or may not have been my fault. Um, but I think what's so cool is like the energy of the team was so critical in the success of all of us because you have six girls go up per event. Top five scores count. So you only have one outlier. You have one person that could make a mistake, really, and you have five that count. So it's, you're fighting to get a spot in lineup, but if someone gets in over you, you're genuinely happy for their success. Like, I'm so proud of you for making it. You're going to push me now to get better so that I can get in.
Right.
And it was such a like mutual respect of one another of like, you know what, like you earned it today. Like you were better than me, but I'm coming for you. But it was the most positive display of assuming positive intent. Like when someone came up to you and bumped you before you went, like I would always say, we would do a touch rule. So you would bump each person in the lineup and say, hey, you're awesome, you got this. And you would respond with, I'm awesome, I got it. I chose to say, like, I got this. I always I was like, no, like, I don't just got it, like, I fucking got it. And my coach, like, she's like, you can't say that. I was like, but I have to say it. I'm gonna say it. I need to say it. It gets me it gets me on top of the U. Because we talk a lot. There's a lot of like sports psych that goes into it, but the inverted U of, your bell curve. And if you're over the U, you're overexcited. You're like, you have too much energy. If you're under, you're not ready to go. And so your optimal point of performance is right on top. And it was an incredible experience to not only see what I could do, but the team, like making gymnastics more of a team sport. Because as when you're doing it in high school, it's all individual.
Right.
And yeah, you're up there by yourself, but you have a whole pack of strong young women behind you that are literally would like blood, sweat, and tears all together to push you to be what you can be. So it was the best experience. Like I would not trade it for anything.
Your motto there at GW was together. Is that right?
Together, yeah. So we would always say together on three, one, two, three, together. Woo. And every year we have a different motto. My senior year it was we decide. And so the captains will get together and the coaching staff work towards like what do we really want this year to be about. And so my senior year was we decide, and it was like we're deciding here. Like it doesn't matter. Like nobody else is going to decide for us. Nobody else is going to make that any decision. Like saying that, oh, we're just not going to be in the top 20 or we're not going to be this. And when I
Right.
came in my freshman year, we were like 43rd rank, and when I was leaving, we were a top 20 team. We were in the conversation, and even the girls out of there now, like they're incredible. Like the athletes that come in through GW, like you have to be smart. Like you have to be willing to push yourself academically because you're a student first and you're an athlete second. But the amount of all of my team, I was not a 4.0 student in undergrad. I will say that. All of my teammates that were in pre-med or anything, they were a 4.0 student. Like it was, I am a student and I'm an athlete, and like watch me do both. And that was an incredible experience.
I can imagine. So you
Yeah.
were only the third gymnast in program history to reach the NCAA championship as an individual qualifier when you
Yes.
competed on the national meet on vault, right? And you also
Yeah.
made history as George Washington's first ever NCAA regional champion when you won first place on vault at the NCAA Morgantown Regional. What does that mean
Yes.
to you now? Looking back on it now, what does that mean to you?
Wow. Honestly, I think it brings me to like the man who broke like the first, what was it, 5 minute or four, was it a 4 minute mile? Oh, 5 minute. It makes me think of like it's not possible until you see it's possible. And then it opens a gateway and a floodgate for others to know that they can do it too. And so for me, it was like, wow, I now get to represent GW, a place that has been my home, a place that has given me the opportunity to succeed, not only as an athlete, but in the classroom. It made it feel like I made it. Like, wow, oh, wow, I did this, not just for me, but for Margie and for Steph and for all the coaches that I had. Like, everyone that is at the bottom of the mountain looking up, like, I got to do it for all of them, for all the people that believed in me. I think what was bittersweet about that moment was when I made it, I was immediately turned to, but my team didn't make it with me. And like our goal was like, we want to go as a team to nationals. Like, because I qualified and so did Cami Drew Allaire, who's the most savage athlete I've ever competed with. Like she was incredible. I mean, just stuck like every vault, like every dismount was just so disciplined. Also a 4.0 student in pre-med, just a killer athlete. And she was one of the three that has qualified as an individual, but she went as an all-arounder. So it was nice that I had Cami because I mean, she was insane as an athlete, but immediately I was like, damn, like, but my team's not going with me. And so it always went back to like, this is awesome. Like, I'm very proud of myself, but I wouldn't have been there if it weren't for every single person that's in that bubble. And we used to call it the colonial bubble. We're no longer the colonials at GD, we're the revolutionaries. But those people in my bubble, like they got me to where I was. And yes, like I'm the one who did the routine, but without that support, I wouldn't have been there. And I also had a torn my senior year. So it was, constantly doing our athletic trainers were awesome. Like Emily Fortunato was the best athletic trainer. She also worked with the Mystics and the US national soccer women's team. Just like incredible. So it's like you stand on top of the mountain, I immediately look down at the bottom and I'm like, thank you. Like that is why I was able to do this because you helped me learn that I am disciplined, I am determined, I am confident, I can do this.
That's incredible. And now, obviously, you're coaching there now. You've been coaching there since
Yeah.
20, which has to be amazing.
So I coached there for 5 seasons. I actually had resigned my position in June. So this is the first season that I'm not coaching them. Yeah, I'm actually an elementary school PE teacher now. I pivoted for a couple. I loved my job, like coaching college athletics. Not only that, but coaching the team that I was on, like the team that I went through, and then being on the other side of it of like, wow, this is what it takes to get a team ready.
Yeah.
It like the most incredible experience. And like I had so much respect for Margie and Steph because they were my main coaches. And working alongside them, I was like, oh wow, like you're so elite. Like you're just so ahead of everyone else. And getting to coach them, not only that, but like winning a conference championship as a coach, I think felt even cooler than winning it as an athlete because you know every behind the scene thing that you needed to do to not just get one person ready, but to get all 20 in a position where whether they're competing or not, their role is critical. And getting to coach that program was a dream come true. That was my dream. I was like, I just want to coach in college at some point in my life. Maybe make my way up to be a head coach, maybe not, maybe go to administrative route. The reason why I pivoted was, these girls are elite. Like they've been supported, they've made it. And during COVID, when I was teaching recreational gymnastics on the side, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of children who were not being supported in school. And they're like, my PE teacher, they're not fit. They don't care about fitness. They sit down when they teach. I don't think they really care. And I grew up mainly in Pennsylvania. My family's from Long Island, but grew up in Pennsylvania, and I had the best teachers. They were active with you, they were playing with you, they were helping you grow. And we didn't have a lot growing up. My sister unfortunately had cancer, and it was always all hands on deck. She's like way surpassed, like she is healthy, like she beat it, everything's great.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, it's incredible. And at a young age, it was, oh, you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. Like nothing will ever just be handed to you. You must make it happen. And when I heard that from my students or from my gymnast, I thought that's just not okay. What are we doing for the youth, these young kids? Like maybe the kids I get to teach, like gymnastics is definitely a costly sport to get into. And so I thought about all these kids that they're not getting what they need. And you're with your child sometimes more than the adult is because you're with them all day. And so I went to Margie and I was like, I think I want to be a teacher. And she was like, oh my God, you should do that. You would be amazing. And so I now teach elementary school PE, not only at one school, but two schools. I'm split. And the one school I'm at is a Title I school where, higher poverty, they don't have the best living conditions. They might not have a mom or dad. They might live in an apartment with 20 other people. But at the beginning of the year, I made it my mission. I was like, I want these kids, all of them, to feel that they're in control of themselves and that fitness is a lifelong journey. Because if you're not healthy now as a kid, it's really hard to get into a routine. And so I have this group of third graders that are really cute at my one school, and they come in, they're like, Miss Rain, and they'll flex. They're like, Miss Rain, gonna get strong today. I'm like, that is right. And I'm like, you're 8 years old and you know that you can get strong and get stronger. That's gonna set the tone for the rest of their life. And so it's a very rewarding job. It's not the same. I mean, nothing will ever be as incredible as like coaching college athletics. It is a lot of work. It is a grind. Like you need to be all in. But everyone I worked alongside was all in. And I just thought, I have a lot to give. These kids need it.
Yeah.
They need it. And if I'm that one person, like, and if I only impact these 1,000 kids in a positive way, think about if they impact just one other person from something that I taught them, that's 2,000. If it's 2, it's 3,000. Like the amount of positive, like it's infectious. You have a pond of water and you put 1 drop of green dye in it. It's going to turn the whole thing green. But if you put multiple drops, it'll be even darker and darker. And that's the positivity that they need. I mean, everyone needs it, but from a young age, especially if you're struggling with your family, maybe you don't have a family. That to me that's worth millions.
You got a great head on your shoulder. The fact that you know that. Oh, it's true.
Thank you.
Wonderful that you know that. It's amazing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Going back to coaching for a second, what was your favorite event to teach and why?
My favorite event? Oh man. So I loved to dance, but I loved floor, but I was mainly a vault coach. So vault was like, that was the event I made it to NCAA's on. That was my event. And it's one of those where it's like you need high energy for 8 seconds. So it's like it's the shortest event that you do in college athletic or college gymnastics for women. And so it was my favorite because when they made a correction, you could see it immediately. Like the amplitude was different. Or when they stuck the landing, it was like, oh, that's what that feels like. That's amazing. Like to run full speed at an inanimate object and propel yourself through the air and then stick the landing. That is the greatest feeling in the world for sure. So ball was definitely my favorite to coach. Favorite to compete.
I can't relate to that, but I would love to try to do it one day. I just feel like I would break my neck.
Definitely start small.
Yeah, just start
Having
jumping.
An inanimate object is scary. it can be a little daunting for sure, especially when you didn't grow up doing it. I mean, I think every child should do gymnastics from ages like 3 to 5. Like put them in gymnastics in the winter, let them do soccer or whatever other sport you want them to do. But the fine gross motor skill development, the balance, the proprioception, the awareness that you learn as a gymnast is unmatched. Like it will make you better at every other sport that you do. I mean, I'm not, it wasn't a ball sport. It wasn't a basketball or a baseball or a volleyball or whatever. But I have such better body awareness that now that I do CrossFit, it's like there's a lot of gymnastics in CrossFit for sure, but it's helped me understand my body a lot better.
So I wanted to pivot into CrossFit. Obviously, you're very big into that. You're extremely good
Yes.
at that. You're nationally ranked in CrossFit.
I don't know about that, but I think so. Last year during the Open, I think in North America East, I was 324 in North America East. I think I was top 1,000 in the
That's it.
world. And I want to be top 8. I want to be I want to be more in the conversation. Um, I just want more. I want more all the time. But I need to, it's one of those things you have to, I was saying this to one of my clients the other day, you have to acknowledge what you've accomplished, let it settle in, become humble, and then move on. And in gymnastics, we always said, okay, so what's next? Like, great, you did this now, but like, okay, you have another meet coming up. So you have to do it again. And you get to do it again. And having that like elite mindset talk of, I get to do this, not I have to do it. So yeah, CrossFit, I did not want to do CrossFit. I was so anti CrossFit when I graduated. I was like, every gymnast does CrossFit. I don't want to be like everyone else. After I finished my senior year, I got shoulder surgery. I repaired my labrum and I was like doing like a Spartan race and like doing a lot of cardio because I was afraid to use my upper body. And I went to a CrossFit class with his name's Justin Watson. He's actually my neighbor. He is the volunteer assistant coach at GW. And so he coached me as well while I was at GW. And he was like, Chelsea, come on, just come with me in this CrossFit class. It'll be fine. I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go. And the coach was Cameron. His name's Cameron Curry, who's actually now my personal coach for CrossFit. He opened his own company called Base 3 Fitness. And he was like, okay, we're gonna sit in the rower. You're just gonna row 500. Everyone else was doing like a 2K row, and I was just doing 500. He's like, okay, do a 500. So I did the 500, and then I just sat there like waiting. I'm like, what's next? What am I supposed to do now? He's like, oh, you're done already? He's like, oh, well, we'll keep going. And then he's like, well, we're doing this now. I was like, okay, I did. He's like, oh, well, you should do more. Like, you need to do more. And so it was funny because at the end of the class, he was like, I'm so sorry for almost holding you back, but it was your first CrossFit class. I was like, no, I love that you set something, I hit this expectation, and now I move to the next thing. Like that's what I wanted to do. So he had the best energy, still does. He has the best energy. And I was like, I want to be in this now. So I was like, I'm just going to do it to stay healthy and stay fit. But that doesn't work. Like I competed in Division 1 athletics, like you're competitive for life. So I started doing classes. I did the Open. And I was like, this is amazing. I immediately found love. I was immediately hooked. Like, get the shoes, get the shirts, get all the things, like need a gym bag, get all the CrossFit things, just like joining, drinking the Kool-Aid. And then during COVID, I actually left the gym I initially started at, went to Verity where Monroe Miller is, and he helped me so much. I mean, everyone that's been in this CrossFit life that I've encountered has helped me a great deal. And he like helped me a lot with the weightlifting aspect. So during COVID, my roommate was a weightlifter. So we built a platform outside. We bought a barbell and she taught me how to lift. Her name was Hannah. And she actually moved, but she helped me so much. The people in my community helped me. Monroe helped me. We then did the Open. We qualified for team quarterfinals 2 years ago at Verity. And we did pretty well. Like, I don't think we knew how good we were in that moment. And then, so we didn't advance to semis, which like, of course, like, that's where you want to go. You want to go to semis, you want to go to the games. I ended up leaving that gym really because I got this new job and it was really far. And so now I'm at the Mill, which is a very like mom and pop family friendly gym, and Boston CrossFit, which is a very up and coming competitive. There's a lot of amazing athletes at this gym that are like super, super strong or super, super have a great engine. And so I've been there, but this year I actually registered under 12 laborers to kind of work my way into being more of a higher level competitive athlete. They always have a team that goes to semis. And the people on the team are incredible. And they're like, hey, come train with us. Like, we want you to be a part of this with us. And oh my God, I'm so grateful. So when I look at where I started CrossFit in 2018, finishing in the open around like 7,000, and now to 2023, finishing in the top 500 in like in North America East. I'm like, oh wow, like you can look at my trend line and it's like a really nice curve. Like it's nicely linear, like, it's what you want. And so I've just been really blessed with everyone I've encountered during my CrossFit journey. And Sammy Nally, who got me into grid, was like, hey, you're a gymnast, you should do this. And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I was the same way with like CrossFit. I was like, no, that's fine. I don't need to do that. And then the coach called me and he's like, hey, I'm sending you a contract. You're going to sign it. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Like, I was just like so easily convinced, but everyone there believed in me too. But CrossFit has been a game changer for like my life, like really caring about my nutrition, really caring about my recovery, caring about my body. And now that I teach little kids, they're like, Ms. Rain, you're so strong. Like, oh my God, I want to be strong like that. I'm like, you can be. And I think being like a visible display, being visibly vigilant in your pursuit and being open with the people you're around makes such an impact on people's life. So CrossFit has been the greatest thing since college athletics, because I never thought I'd feel that camaraderie ever again. And it was really sad. But now that I'm in CrossFit, I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best thing in the world. Everyone should do it. I don't care how old you are. Everyone should do it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that, because when you exit from college sports or even high school sports, if that's where you end, you're gonna miss that camaraderie, because it's really hard to get that back in life. And that's what I've been hearing
Oh
about.
my gosh.
It's really cool that you do it. Can you talk me through the United League?
Yes. So United Grid League, it started as the Florida Grid League, or it was the Atlantic Grid League, went to Florida. So there's teams that are made up of body weight specialists, strength specialists, and utility. And they're all fitness relays. And it's basically like whoever crosses the line first, like that team wins. And so it's made up of gymnasts and strongmen and strong women and CrossFit athletes and endurance athletes. Like there are people that are on the team that have a specialty. And so like mine is obviously the gymnastics. So I do the body weight stuff mostly, but I can also be thrown into any workout that they put me in for. But there's definitely rules. Like if you win the event, you get 2 points. If the other team finishes the event, even though they didn't win the race, they get 1 point. If you get capped on it, because there's time caps, then you get 0. But yeah, so it's like fitness relaying. And there are guys that like run out and they do like 5 snatches at like 250, like boom, boom, boom. Like it's insane. You're like, what are you doing? But you're not in every race. Some people might be because they're just like so well-rounded. But for me, like if there's a race that has handstand walking or butterfly ring muscle ups or anything like that, I might run in, do a thing, run out, tag someone else in. So it's literally like the strongest, most incredible, most elite athletes in the world coming in and doing this fitness relay as a team, which is super cool. And there's a championship, there's like conferences, just like any athletic sports sector, like the NBA or college athletics.
Yeah.
So you have your like head to head with your conference, and then you'll go head to head with another people from like the North or the South conference. And then you have a championship match. Whoever wins the championship match goes into the final, and the final you win the whole season. So it starts in June. So the season's like June to October, November, which is kind of the tail end of the CrossFit season. So it's good because right now we're all getting ready for like doing the open, doing quarters, aspirations of semis or the games, but you're also getting fitter for grid, which is really good.
That's really neat. And you're having fun doing it. That's all that matters.
Oh my God, it's so fun. It's so cool. You should definitely watch, just like type in United Grid League or type in like Florida Grid League Championship. And this past year was the Aces versus the Lions. The Aces won. The Aces beat us for the championship title. So we were a little sad, little salty, but like the Aces are an incredible team. And Taylor is the head coach and owner, and she's so strong. She is so fit. Like you look at these people and you're like, oh wow, what do you do? And then you watch them, and you're like, oh wow, like you do like real shit. Like you put in real work, you put in all the effort, and you can do anything. And so seeing that like elite level of competition all over and seeing like what I'm like, my teammate who's a strongman, I'm like, I'm looking at what she eats and when she sleeps. I'm like, wow, like I do not eat or sleep like that. Like that's really cool. But you also can, power, clean, and jerk 250 pounds as a woman, and I'm just doing like 215. So you're doing, and she's touching going, doing this stuff. I'm like, you're so strong. It is really cool. And there's a lot of mutual respect amongst all the teams. The coaches, like the athletes, and it's like, hey, you're in. It's like, great, you better go fast. Like, you need to go fast. And they're honest. It's like, hey, you're not moving fast enough. You need to move faster. And it's just that same assume positive intent, like assume that your teammates are saying it to you because they care about you. And that goes back to college gymnastics, that goes to CrossFit, that goes to grid. It's you need to assume positive intent from the people around you so that ego and emotion doesn't get in the way. And that's, I think, as I've been an athlete from age 3 to now almost 29, it's really understanding that the people around you care. They wouldn't say anything if they didn't care.
This has been the A to Z podcast. I've been with Chelsea Raineri. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your positivity. I feel like being around you has to be a wonderful thing, and your students are very lucky.
Thank you so much. That's what we do. If you bring positivity, the energy you bring, you'll receive it back. So wherever you go, kindness is at the front of the mind, and being a positive light for anyone you encounter goes a long way.
Amen to that. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.